when he was a lieutenant commander in between the wars, there were far too many lieutenant commanders because they had far too many officers at the end of the First World War and in the beginning afterwards. So they were all approached and they said, you can't all become commanders, so, but you take the chance, you might be promoted, or if you rather retire, you can either retire on a pension, or you can have lump sum. And he was a bachelor, and not what do you call it? No trouble, and nobody. So he decided to retire on this pension. No, he retired. He took the lump sum.
He took the lump sum. How old was he?
Well, how old was he then? His 30s.
Yeah.
And but of course, then he had a very nice job in Sively Street. Worked in Cambridge.
And what was his full name, Adriane?
Malcolm Lemaire.
Lemaire.
Yeah. And he loved his job. It was playing fields for schools, and he was based in Cambridge, very happy. Of course, then the war started, or threatened, and he was recalled. And, served the whole war.
When you say he was doing playing fields, what?
Oh, it was a National Playing Field Association that had just started then for schools. They were, well, needed now.
Encouraging school sport.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it was a National Playing Field Association. And he was a great sportsman, and he was very keen. In any case, it was a nice job, not well paid, but he enjoyed it. He lived in Cambridge. And, well, of course, then he back in the Navy. And at first, they went into a big camp, I think, and all these people were called up. Then he was mine laying at Scapa Flow, quite a long time.
Mine
in
laying.
charge of, and
Scapa Flow up in the Orkneys.
yeah.
Gosh.
And
to prevent the German U-boats coming.
yeah, and it was very important.
Yes.
Yeah. It was very dangerous there. And,
It's a very dangerous job, I should imagine.
what did he do after that? He went to South Africa and taught young men from New Zealand and Australia, because they used to come to England to become officers and be taught, but it was ridiculous. So they got permission from the South African government to use Port Elizabeth, and these young men came down, and he taught seamanship, I think, and loved it, had a wonderful time.
How old was he by then?
Well, how old was he then? Late 30s. And then he was made captain of an old cruiser which was burst off Colombo.
Which was bombed, or?
No, it was permanently there, and it was really a kind of...
Oh, it was burst.
It was almost, what do you call that type of ship? Forgotten for the moment.
What is
He was the captain.
Training ship, was it?
No, it was awful.
Doesn't matter.
Stupid of
But
me.
that was in South Africa still.
This was in Colombo,
In Colombo.
and he spent almost a year there, and that was a lovely job, but he hated the heat.
In Ceylon,
Yeah,
as it
yeah.
was. Okay.
And
He didn't like the heat.
no, couldn't bear the heat, and because it was with the old air conditioning wasn't very good.
No.
And then he brought her back to Plymouth. Then she was put to sleep there.
What, the boat?
Yeah. And then he had to have another appointment, and he had some leave. And I think you could stay in, what is the fantastic hotel? The Ritz in London when you were an officer, £1 a night.
Ah!
So he thought, this is it,
So wonderful.
happy bachelor. We stayed there for not long. And then he had to go to the Admiralty because I have a new appointment. And so the officer who was in charge of, appointments, talked to him, said, we need a liaison officer with the Dutch Navy because we're going to lend them or sell them an aircraft carrier, lend them an aircraft carrier. And we need one Englishman to keep an eye open. So Malcolm said, I don't speak a word of Dutch, I don't think, He said, oh, it doesn't matter, they speak English. Think about it. So he became liaison officer on the Karel Doorman, which was this big vliegtuigmoederschip, what do you call them?
What, a sort of destroyer, was it? Oh, aircraft carrier.
Yeah.
So it was a huge Dutch ship.
Not one of the biggest ones, but 800 people on board or something.
Gosh.
And then
he was the
with
only
all those,
Englishman.
Yeah, the only. It was a bit difficult.
And that was before the occupation.
And that was
Germans,
because
the
there was trouble in Indonesia, and the Dutch didn't have an aircraft carrier.
Yes.
And they needed Fireflies over there.
So whose ship was it?
Dutch. But no, I think they rented it from the British Navy.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was crewed. It was all crewed by.
And then the Admiralty said we must keep one Englishman on board to keep an eye open how the Dutch, as they look after it all right.
Yes.
Quite a strange appointment.
Yes.
And
so what was his official role, really? I mean, what did he do all day?
Funny.
Must have been quite...
Well, he was busy.
Yes.
No, he was quite busy. And they were first in England. He handed her over to the Dutch. Got a lovely photo of that.
How wonderful.
And then he volunteered to do that. He taught Dutch sailors English. And,
yes.
Then they came to Holland for the first time. And many of those sailors had not been back to Holland since before the war.
Where had they been?
Well, they'd been all over the world.
All over the world.
Yeah.
What, in the Middle East or the Far East?
Everywhere, because a lot of our sailors were, of course, in the Dutch East Indies,
right.
and a lot in the Dutch West Indies,
yes,
and,
yes.
the Caribbean and so on. And they were stranded there, so they served in the
yes.
British Navy.
Well, they were better off there than back in the homeland at that
So
time.
when they came on this carrier for the first time back to Holland, it was pandemonium.
This was after the war finished, yes.
And Malcolm said it was fantastic. He wrote about it. It was also in the papers and so on. He said the mast to Rotterdam was lined with people. Everybody had the flags out, people standing on the roofs.
How wonderful.
All these sailors coming back. And all the sailors had bicycle tires around their necks because we had no bicycle tires in Holland.
Oh.
Almost the most important thing.
Yes.
Funny. And he made friends with the doctor, the Dutch doctor on board. And the wife of the Dutch doctor was a friend of mine. And they were going to have parties on board. And so they said, of course, it'd be, a bit dreariger. And come with us to the parties and you can be Le Maire's girl for the night, for the evening.
Yes.
And that's how we met.
I was wondering when we'd get onto that and how you met.
And then...
so that was what, in 1946, was it? Or
No, 45.
45,
early.
right at the end of the war.
Yeah.
Very, very...
And then the ship went to Indonesia and Malcolm had to go with them.
So you didn't see him again for ages?
I didn't see him for a long, long time, and we corresponded.
Did you have time to have a little romance? Did it sort of...
Yes, beforehand. I don't know how long, I've forgotten that.
And did you then write to each other?
Yeah, we long letters. And then I au paired in England because, my English is pretty good, grammar school. And...
you were probably very thin, weren't you, after the war?
Oh,
It
yes,
was a very hungry time.
Yeah, we were always slim.
Yes, but I mean, it was a very hungry time
but
in
we
Holland.
lived on the island and we had always potatoes and vegetables.
Tell me about the island.
Well, pretty dull it was.
Very
My
flat.
father was... We lived in the main village, lovely village, and my father was the doctor there, and both sides of the family were medics. All the family were medics.
Well, your mother was a doctor too.
My mother was a doctor's daughter. My grandfathers were doctors. My great extraordinary, yeah. And all the uncles, a lot of uncles are specialists. And I think, and both uncles, the brothers of my father both read medicine, and that was after the First World War, and it was very
Adriane,
different.
what was the island called again?
Goeree and Overflakkee.
Goeree. 2 islands.
No, it used to be sandbanks, you know.
Oh.
Well, Goeree was one. The Romans were in Goeree.
Really?
The Roman remains.
So is it just very sandy with grass?
It's not sand, it's very rich sea clay, very flat.
Yeah.
Lovely dunes, lovely beach.
Yes. And woods?
Agriculture.
Trees, or mostly arable land?
All arable, yes.
Arable.
Hardly any trees.
And no cattle or sheep?
No, no
No.
sheep at all.
No sheep.
I don't think I'd ever seen a sheep.
Mm.
And I must say I still love the autumns in England because we really had no autumns.
Yeah.
Because there was hardly any trees.
And you've
All
never
died.
seen a sheep as a child?
No. Funny. But
Saw seabirds?
we had a lovely life, and thank God there was one grammar school
Mm.
for the whole island.
So that took you up to
And that
18, did it? Or to,
Yeah.
to what Abitur or
Yeah,
whatever?
yes.
Mm.
Yeah. And you had the same education as the boys, so it was an enormous amount of maths and science and chemistry,
Yes.
which I didn't particularly enjoy.
But was it
And you couldn't do
co-ed?
Latin or Greek, and I'm very sad I didn't do Latin. But there was no hope, you know. It was Greek, it was French, German, and English.
Yes.
You had to do.
Was it a co-ed school? Boys and girls?
Hogere Burgerschool, they call it HBS, HBS, higher civilians.
But was it boys and girls together? Yes.
Pretty dull.
Was it?
Yeah.
You mean the school itself or the...
School. The masters in those days, they were all academics. A lot of them were doctorates. But there was terrible unemployment, and they couldn't get jobs.
Mm.
So they started teaching, and they were very badly paid.
And
They
this was through the
Yeah,
German occupation, was it? Or?
No, I was born in Yes, when did I go to school to the HBS? I was born in 21, and I was 12 when I went to the 33 I went to, yes. And I just finished before the war
Right.
at the grammar school, yes.
And then did you go to college after that?
But you can imagine these men were so rather bitter, and they
Yes.
couldn't teach.
No.
They were hopeless.
They were clever, but they
Yeah.
had never learned how
No.
to teach.
And especially the headmaster was such a bitter, horrible man.
Dear.
And we suffered under that. The
Yes.
two ladies, German and English, they were good because they were, had degree in these languages, and that was very tough in Holland. And they were good.
Yes.
And history was quite good. He was a real schoolmaster. But yes, it was not good.
But it gave you a good education.
Oh yes,
the
yes,
same.
yes,
I mean,
yes. Compared with
I'm
my
sure
English
it was
friends,
stringent and yes,
And
quite.
everybody, you always went to my mother and my aunts already went to university.
Did you go to university?
Yes.
Where did you go?
I hated it.
Did
My
you?
mother sent us to university.
Why did you hate it?
Well, mother didn't ask what we had to do. We were sent. And I had to read economics in Rotterdam, and it was dreadful. Then the war broke out, thank goodness. I could stop that. And then I went to an art college. And then I met Malcolm.
And that's what you really wanted to do, was
Yes.
to do art.
Yeah.
Yes.
But mother was so funny. She was a complete dictator. So
How
funny.
many brothers and sisters?
I had 2 sisters. Only my younger sister did what she wanted to do. And the other sister read medicine, and of course that didn't last long. She hated it.
Mm.
And then she read English. And my brother, he had to read medicine, and he never wanted to do
He
it.
didn't want to be a
No,
doctor. That's
he
crazy.
died.
You have to want to do it.
It's extraordinary, but
Yes.
Mother was an absolute dictator. She didn't realise she was such a dictator.
Well, she was obviously very firm.
Yeah, it's funny.
Yes.
But now the island has now got 4 connections to the mainland, you know, 2
Oh,
bridges
what?
and 2
So
dams.
the bridges or causeways?
Yeah,
Or
2 dams and 2 bridges. You know, it's amazing.
has that changed it a lot?
Yes, yes. A lot of, what do you call it, foreigners and a lot of people
Yes.
work in Rotterdam. And,
Yes.
the coast is very popular, especially with Germans. But I must just have a look what she's doing. Well, that's not good. God, I sound exactly like Queen Juliana making a speech. I'm not going to do it. I gave it up. I gave it up after that. So funny. You know how queens have these artificial...
So to carry on, Adriane, I want to hear the story of you
God.
and Malcolm.
So then he
goes
was still
off
on the Karel Doorman.
Could you just spell that name?
Karel, he's our great national hero, you know, at the Battle of the Java Sea.
So how does that spell?
Karel is...
Carol.
Yeah, it's, you know, like,
I know, like the name.
But ours is K-A-R-E-L.
K-A-R-E-L.
Doorman.
Doorman. Okay, Carol Doorman.
After our greatest hero, he was Admiral Doorman.
And your Malcolm was on that ship,
Yeah.
which went where? To Indonesia.
Went to Indonesia, and they had a fascinating time there. It was quite worrying.
And
Then they visited the Spice Islands, and what is it, the famous Spice Islands? He got that given to him, that ship made of, what do you call it, the herbs. They stayed loyal to the Dutch, and a lot of them came to Holland after the war. It was a drama.
Were they invaded by the Japanese?
Yeah, they had a dreadful
And
time.
had a horrible time.
Yeah. And both my uncles went to camp, and their children.
Oh,
and,
how terrible.
yes.
Did they survive?
yeah,
Mm.
because they were doctors, so they were a little bit...
Yeah,
One worked on a railway, I think. But didn't see their family for
no.
a long time, but yeah, not funny.
So Malcolm was off in the Spice Islands. You were in Holland. Where
then
were
he
you?
came back.
Where were you living in Holland then?
I became an au pair in England.
Oh, you were in England then.
Yeah, for a little while.
Where?
In Harpenden.
Harpenden.
Half Dutch family.
In Kent. Is that
Harpenden is in Hertfordshire.
Hertfordshire? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice, that was. And then, then he was on Bournemouth.
So you and Malcolm wrote to each other?
Yeah.
And you got to
Still
know each other with
photo.
letters?
All the letters still, yes. He was
Lovely.
a very good writer.
Yes. And then when
then
did
he was
he...
still on the Sousa, on the Karel Doorman,
Yes.
and they went to Norway, and they went to Iceland, what is it, Greenland, I think.
And this
then
was
he went
the aircraft carrier?
Yeah,
Mm.
then she came back to England.
Yeah.
And
With all the Dutch crew?
yeah, but we got married by then. Yeah, we got married.
You got
by
married
this
when
time.
he had
Yeah.
leave?
For a little while we lived in Amsterdam.
We've got a lovely photo of your wedding here.
Uh,
Beautiful photos I saw.
and
Where
he lived in Plymouth. The first time I came to England, well, he was in Plymouth. The Karel Doorman was in Plymouth. That was lovely.
So was she birthed in Plymouth for a
Yeah.
while? That
Yeah.
must have been lovely.
Before they rebuilt Plymouth.
Yes.
Yeah, that was fun. It was
Yeah.
lovely. And he rented a very nice little flat
Mm.
in a village. And it was all so different from me, so English. I remember
Yes.
the train journey.
And hills as well.
Oh, and arriving in Harwich and people eating kippers for breakfast and sort of English people are mad. And prunes and kippers. Oh. And a lovely railway journey from. We was in Liverpool Street Station, smelled Victorian.
Yes.
Extraordinary.
I think it probably did, yes. Well, it would have still been coal smoke then.
Yes,
wouldn't
yes,
it?
and fish, I remember,
And
coal
fish.
smoke and fish somehow. And that was lovely in Plymouth. And then his time was up in the Navy because he, you know, but because he'd given up his pension, he hasn't got, I haven't got a naval pension. And they're pretty cruel in England. And so then he had to find another job, and he went back to England, his job helped, and he became, what did you call it, running the boys' clubs in Kent, which was nice.
This
job.
was after you left Plymouth. You went to
Yeah, then
Kent.
the Carnadorman was,
Yeah.
what did they do with her?
So
I don't
when
know,
was...
but, oh yes, then she became completely Dutch, and so they
Yes.
didn't need him anymore.
Okay, so
In
the
any
Dutch
case, his
kept-
time was up in the
Mm.
Navy.
So he took on a new job.
Oh, that for a moment it looked as if he might have to go to Mauritius, but that didn't come off. And then, yes, his time's up, and he became ran the boys' clubs in Kent. And
So what was the organisation, the boys' clubs? I mean,
I
was
don't
it-
know. I don't know whether it still exists. It's a general English.
it's not
so-
like Boy Scouts or...
No,
I haven't heard
It
of
was
Boys.
very
National
nice.
Boys Club.
no.
It's a lovely photo there.
National
Adriane.
Association of Boys Clubs. But they have such a
Beautiful
Yeah,
dress.
fine.
Have you still got
oh,
your...
I know, God, it's an old boy. If they had a suit, I wasn't so beautiful.
Lovely, I
No,
think
that
it's
was one of our boys from the ship. And he sent that photo to us. Oh,
I think it's lovely.
yeah. Oh, no, gosh, I wasn't a real bride. In Holland, we are not so bridal. Oh, funny. Yeah, lovely, isn't it?
It
Oh,
is. It's beautiful.
He was such a nice boy. I think he became an officer in the Navy. Not quite sure. We had 250 boys on board.
So, tell me, you...
No, and then
you
that was in Plymouth.
skipped somewhere. So he got a job with the
Yeah,
boys' club.
and then we sort
And
of
that,
in
then
Kent.
that led to the Arethusa.
No, that's when we lived in Kent.
Yes.
And we rented a house. It belonged to Somerset the Chair, who owned Chilham Castle in Kent, which is, and Chilham is the most beautiful village in Kent. And it was a dream, and we rented for 2 guineas a week this absolutely lovely house.
That sounds like a snip.
Oh, it was so lovely.
Yeah.
And lovely little garden. And we had the run of the park.
How lovely.
Lord Killern rented the castle.
Yes.
And it was, you know, coming to England from Holland and having
Yes.
that.
Lovely.
It was so funny.
Lovely.
And Lord Killern was married to a very much younger Italian pretty wife. It was a wild household. And I remember I said to somebody, we living next to Lord Killern, and she said, oh, the Dutch called him Lord Kill and Earn, because he was in command at the East Indies after the war, and he made good use of Indonesia and had duck shoots, and they had to pay him, and I don't know what's so funny. Lord Kill and Earn. And
So-
Somerset the Chair used to have the weekends with his mistress, his secretary, in the keep, the Norman keep in the castle. It was gorgeous, and until his wife found out. Any case, that cottage. Oh, and then
What about Petra? Has she come?
no, not
She
yet.
hasn't appeared.
And then I had a very early miscarriage there, and we had a rotten doctor.
Oh.
And then one day Malcolm had to go for this job, to Ashford or something. He was on the station and he met a former acquaintance, a naval officer. And he said, "Oh, how are you, the man?" And I said, "Oh, you know, married, but I don't earn very much money. It's a nice job, but not very." And he said, "God, there is a job going. Captain of the Arethusa training shop owned by the Shaftesbury Holmes. That would be just your cup of tea."
Shaftesbury Holmes?
Yeah, we were Shaftesbury Holmes and Arethusa training ship. And Malcolm said, "Oh, well, you know," didn't think about it. And then the next day he went to his office in Ashford, and he saw an old, a day old, or maybe even older, Daily Telegraph. And there he read the advertisement. You know,
for the job.
Captain for the Arethusa. And he said, "Well, that is funny, you know, hadn't heard just this."
Coincidence.
And he said, "I'm going to ring up." He rang up from the office.
It's almost as if he was meant to have
Yes,
that
it was
job.
funny.
Yes.
And very charming old secretary, who was almost at retiring age, Mr. Pelly, answered the phone. He said, "Oh, Commander Lemaire, I'm sorry, but it's closed. You're too late. You know, we have already 70 applicants." And
No.
so, oh, what a shame.
Oh.
Never mind. It's only on the off chance.
Oh.
So then Mr. Pelly said, "Do you know, I'm going to add your name to the list." And so he had to go to Shaftesbury. And the Shaftesbury Holmes, their office was in Shaftesbury Avenue. It was all started by Lord Shaftesbury.
Yes.
And
were they orphans, these boys?
well,
or just
Dr. Bernardo,
disadvantaged?
you know,
Okay, yes.
all kinds, but
Like,
all.
yes.
And wanting to go to sea.
Yes.
And they were between 13, they came when they were 13 and they stayed until 15. And some, when they went to the Merchant Navy, they stayed a bit longer.
So it was a
They didn't
school,
have to go to sea.
but with some
Yes.
naval bent.
We
or-
had classrooms, it was a school on board.
Yes.
Very much with the naval. It's very
A bit
good.
like Dartford.
Peter often now says, "God, Mummy, if those boys would go to Arethusa, it do them the world of good." You see the, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
But any case.
So tell me, he was then put on the list, and he went
Yeah,
for
and then he went to this first meeting,
Yeah.
interview in Charlotte, and then a second interview, and I'm not so sure. And then I had to come.
Because you were very important too.
And so I bought a hat at CNA's and I made myself a smart dress. And they said, "Well, Mrs. Mann, it'd be quite funny for you. You have to live on board with all those boys." Oh, I said, "I have a brother who's 15. I'm accustomed to boys." And so. And they said, "You feel quite cocky. You will be exactly on the position where the Ruiter sails through the chain. You know, the only time that England has ever been. The Dutch Navy sailed up the Medway to Chatham and won the battle, the famous battle of the Medway.
When was that?
Chatham, well, that was
16 something.
1650 or something.
Oh.
There was a little old castle nearby. Yes, it was.
Sort of William of Orange or something.
It was the Ruiter, our great admiral. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, when was it? The period of. We were great enemies, and our
Yes.
navy was
All
the only
great
time really
rivals,
foreign
really.
troops landed in England.
Goodness.
And James, it was James. Was it James II?
James II. I see. I don't know about.
There was a lot of
Anyway,
property.
so did he see it as an advantage or disadvantage that you
Oh
were
no, he
Dutch?
thought I would feel cocky when they made jokes about
Yes.
it.
Yes.
And so Malcolm went to look at the ship, and I don't think I had ever seen it. Well, and then there was another last meeting.
So you were obviously on the very short list
Yeah.
by then.
Yeah, and
Were there some other husbands and wives?
I never saw it. No, I didn't see
No.
them. No. And then the last one, I think it was
I
only
suppose
Malcolm.
having a wife was important, though, wasn't
Yes,
it? I
you
mean,
had
he
to
needed
live on
to be
board,
married.
yes.
Yeah.
No, actually,
Or
the
not.
predecessor wasn't married,
Oh,
and he was a disaster.
Yeah.
He was a horrible
much
man.
better to be a married man.
But the man before the war was a charming, happily married
Yeah.
man. And there was no bridge to the ship then. They had to row on board. And so when the war was over, they would have had him back, but they didn't realize there was a long landing, what do you call it? And otherwise they would have come back and we wouldn't have been there.
Yes.
Funny. And
so you got the job, or you, both of you got the job.
yeah, and then Malcolm came last time with another man, and he was sure this man was getting the job.
Yes.
He was a merchant navy captain, and he said he was just right for the ship. And then Malcolm was called in, and you know, and he said to the other man, "I don't understand that you are so much more suitable. I thought I would appoint you." And so he felt sorry for the other man.
Yeah.
In case, so that
Well,
was
it may have been that the wife was more suitable.
well.
I mean, the wife.
We met that man once later when we were already living on board, and he came to see us for fun. And Malcolm said, "Oh, I'm surprised they didn't take you." And this man said, "My wife would not have taken it.
She may not have wanted to.
No, she
No.
would have hated it."
Yes.
And
So what year was it when you moved in? Would have been about what?
48.
1948.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
were all the boys on board when you moved
No, we
Was it
moved,
holiday?
we came on board in an Easter
in?
holiday.
So the ship was all quiet and empty.
Yeah, there were always a few boys who stayed on board for cleaning, and they had to leave later.
Yes.
And so we settled in. Oh, yeah, we went on board, and I'd never seen her. It was a bit strange. We had big quarters, but
Did your heart lift up when you saw her waiting?
well,
for
I was
you?
so unhappy that I
left that little house.
Yeah,
I bet you were.
and then when we just on board, I went shopping by bus. There was a yearly bus service to Rochester, and when I came back, there were the first boys coming back, and they didn't know me, of course, they'd never seen me. And they sat in the bus, and we went round the corner, and there was a ship, and one of the boys said, "Cool, blimey, she's still afloat." And I thought, oh, how awful. Oh, God. And so they went on board. I followed them, you know, they had no idea. They thought, who's this woman following us? Oh, it was funny.
It's a wonderful story.
Yeah. Oh, and then we inherited the steward of the predecessor.
And what was the
What was his
steward?
name? He had been a Royal Marine.
What did the steward do?
Well, he was my steward. He lived in a little cabin in our quarters.
He looked after you.
Yeah, he did everything. And he was the most horrible man. Dirty. The plates were dirty. He had to put his thumb marks on them. And I thought, this is the end. I cannot live here with this man. Oh, he was dreadful.
Could you not sack him and get a better one?
And, well, that was his appointment, and we took him over. And so I said, "Malcolm, really, I can't take this." He said, "Well," then my sister got married, and I went to Holland for the wedding. And Malcolm said, "Well, forget about, what's the man's name? It'll come. And I'll lick him into shape while you're away." And so when I came back, and it was just this awful. What am I going to do? And then I was in the little dining cabin, and the steward was in the pantry, and the painter was painting the portholes, and put his hat on, and he said to the steward, "How are you getting on under the new regime?" And he said, "Fed up to the backteeth, too much bloody flannel going on." They said that, bloody flannel, you know, too much cleaning it. So I thought, this doesn't sound very good. So Malcolm's in the office with the secretary dictating. So I knocked on the door, and he was rather irritated. I came in and said, "Malcolm, what does bloody flannel mean?" He said, "Who says that?" I said, "This is, what's his name? The steward saying, fed up to the back teeth, too much bloody flannel going on." So Malcolm pushed me out of the way, went into the little pantry and said, "Heine or something, fall out on the quarterdeck, put on your white coat and fall out." and he sacked him there and then.
Brilliant.
So the next
Really?
meeting of the governors, Malcolm said, I'm afraid I had to sack. And he got a terrific telling off from the admiral. You had to sleep over that for a night, Lemaire. And I locked myself in my sleeping cabin and never saw the man anymore.
Well,
No,
but I mean, you had to get on with the
I
students.
know, it was ridiculous.
I
But
mean,
they
you
could be
couldn't
pretty
possibly.
arrogant and snooty, you know, the
Oh.
committee.
So, were you able to interview the next one then?
Oh, then I had a daily woman of the
Okay.
village, the most
Yeah, much better.
charming.
That one I saw a photo of. That
very
nice
fond
lady.
of her. Yeah, Petra was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
No,
younger.
another one.
But absolutely, we became so fond
Yes.
of her, and Petra almost loved her more than she loved
And nice
me.
to have another woman on
Oh,
board
she was
as well,
lovely.
in a way. Too.
Really,
Yeah.
charming woman.
Mm. So,
Yeah, that was fun.
so how many people were on board the ship altogether?
Oh
Photo of them,
gosh, we
yes.
had a lot of staff, of course.
So there was a staff
But
quarters.
the boys were, you know, the full complement was 250, but it was about 240 or something.
Did you eat in the staff room? Or
Oh, no, no,
no. You
no.
had your private
Yes,
dining room.
no.
And,
I thought the so-called officers were more trouble than the boys. But we had schoolmasters, of course,
Yes.
headmaster, and they were very nice, all in uniform.
and all men, no female teachers.
No, secretary, Malcolm had a secretary. Oh, we had 2 nurses on board,
So there was
sick bay.
three or four women on board altogether. 3 or 4.
Yeah, me and the secretary, but she went home. At
Yes.
night. And then 2 nurses. Yes, that was it. We had 2 cooks.
They look so happy on the deck here.
Yes, that's lovely, that
That's
photo.
great. That's lovely
Yeah.
photos. I mean, this is just wonderful.
Oh, that was such a popular
It's a lovely
instructor. He was a
photograph.
naval...
You could see they're wrapped.
yeah.
They're learning knots.
Oh, he was a darling man.
Yes.
The boys loved him. He was a bachelor.
So, did they have normal lessons in the morning?
But he
and then-
started very early, scrubbing the ship and doing all kinds of things. And
So
then
it
we
wasn't a normal school.
Then we
It was
had
very much a sort of
morning.
like a ship. I mean, it was run like a ship.
Yeah, what do you call it? Morning.
Morning prayers.
Morning. Yeah, and
An assembly.
inspection, you know. And Malcolm stood and read some prayers
Yes.
on the deck.
Assembly.
If it rains, yeah, morning assembly.
Yes. That was
And
on
then
deck.
Peter had to run to school. Well, first I used to bring her to the village
Yes.
school, quite a long walk, and then to the grammar school. She had to run with a sandwich in her hand, so behind the boys to go to the bus. Woohoo! So I heard her, and it was funny.
Did she
Then they
get
had
to
a-
know the boys, Petra? Did she?
Yeah, and he always had a boy to come and help, you know,
Yes.
weekly. They changed. Yeah, we saw a lot of them. I
Yeah.
think once she fell in love with one of the boys, and he was her.
That's sweet.
But she was on there until she was almost 19.
Really.
Yeah, she
So
was
you-
10 days old.
So
when
you
she
lived
came.
on this boat for 20 years?
21 years.
21 years. And was Petra born in...
In Chatham, in a
Chatham.
horrible private nursing home. But in Holland we had babies at home always.
Yes.
And I wanted her on board. And our
Yes.
doctor was a great friend of ours. But
He
he
wouldn't
said, no,
allow it.
Horrible.
Mm.
Any case, I survived it. And she was 10 days when she came on board, and
Mm.
almost 19 when she left.
That's wonderful.
And she went
That's
to
amazing.
Chatham Grammar School for girls.
Yes. Just as a day girl.
Yeah.
And took the bus and then came back
Yeah.
to the boat.
Yeah.
Yes. And what was it like when they all went home for their holidays? Or
Oh, he always had some left.
Always had
for
some.
looking after the
Yeah,
ship.
because they
and
didn't
some-
all have homes, of course, did
Oh
they?
well, that was quite a sorting out. You know, quite a lot had just a mother, or they had a grandmother.
Yeah.
Or some had normal homes. But yeah, it took a long. Malcolm had to find something for the ones.
Mm.
And the children's home.
Did you ever manage to go away, leave the
Oh
ship?
yes, in the summer
went
holiday we
to
went
Holland
away.
or-
Yeah, we went to Holland.
Mm.
Yeah, that was lovely. We had long holidays.
And when you did leave, Was that because the school closed down, or because...
No, Malcolm's 65.
So he had to retire?
Yeah. And it was stupid. They should have kept him on because it didn't last very long after.
No.
Everything was changing, and also the successor was a disaster.
Oh, so really it fizzled out after that,
Yeah.
did it?
But thank goodness he did go, 65, because then we found his house.
Yes.
In the agony column in the Times. Malcolm used to call it the agony column.
It was advertised.
Yeah.
In the paper.
In the Times.
And he found it rather like he found the job, just by chance.
Extraordinary.
What, he picked up the paper,
yeah.
did he? And it's
Isn't that funny?
Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
So
yeah, because we had to move, we had to find somewhere to live, and
why did you pick on Coggeshall?
Well, we didn't pick on anything, but we tried to get another job with accommodation in a school or something, or purser or something.
What year was this? Must have been sort of 67 or something, was it? 68.
Peter was 19. 40 years ago.
So 67. 1967.
Almost 40 years ago.
So, and you didn't have a house of your own?
No, we had nothing.
So you didn't know where to go and live?
No.
That was quite precarious. And Petra had left home, more or less.
No,
she
left the grammar school just before we came here, and she was going to what is Homerton, the teachers' training college. You? You're going to leave me? Have a lovely time next week. Don't overdo it beforehand.
No, I know. That would take it.
See you at your way after.
What do you...
Where
am I?
Tell this story.
Where am I?
Well, you're just leaving the ship, the Arethusa, and you're looking for somewhere to live.
We
and
had
you don't
wonderful
know where to go.
prize days. We had all kinds of very important people come to see us. The prize days were amazing.
That's in the summer, then the summer term.
Just before the boys went on.
Yes.
We had Mountbatten.
Wow.
We had Princess Marina. We had Prince Bernard of the Netherlands. The great cricketer, that was Cowdery.
Oh, wonderful.
The last time was
yeah.
I've got a lovely photo of Cowdery of me and Peter. And what else? Admirals and so on. But
and the Queen?
The Queen has, thank goodness she was coming. And Malcolm said, we can't do it. The ship was getting old and shabby. And
I thought there was a picture of the Queen.
yeah, but that was in Buckingham Palace.
Okay. Oh.
So thank goodness.
Yes.
And Philip came to see us.
Yes.
He
wasn't
easy.
so, yeah.
Old Bernard was charming.
So you must have been quite... And Bernard was what? He was the king, was he, or the prince of...
Prince Kamal, what do you call it?
Yes.
Husband of Juliana.
Oh, yes.
Naughty boy.
Yeah.
Not charming.
Why did he come? Was it partly because you were Dutch?
Oh, Malcolm went to a naval dinner. He belonged to a naval club.
Yes.
And he went to a dinner once every so often. And Bernard was he was an honorary admiral, of course, in the Dutch Navy, and he was a guest there. And Malcolm, after a few drinks, felt brave enough to say, would he ever come and give away the prizes?
Lovely.
And he said, oh, yes,
That's
that
really
might be
nice.
fun.
Oh.
And he did, and it was so nice.
Yeah.
He was charming, but
Lovely.
he's a naughty boy. Yeah, that was how they ever did it, these prize days. I've got lovely photos.
Were they sort of on board, on the ship, on the deck?
Yeah, we had all the high. We had the mayors, of course, mayor of Chatham, mayor of Rochester.
Yeah.
Then the chairmen of all the villages round about.
Yes,
and they first had a drink in our cabin. And we had Admiral Moore and his American wife. I hope no American will ever hear it. Lady Moore was a flag for a snobby American lady. Oh, could have shot her. Admiral Moore was, first we had Admiral Tuffy, who was charming as a chairman. And his wife used to come too, and she was very, very nice and quiet. And Malcolm once said to somebody, every time I have to contact Lord Tully, he's got another address. And he said, oh, his wife is on the bottle, so they always have to move.
Yeah.
Or they stay in hotels or something. Oh, and he couldn't have wished for a more old-fashioned, charming Admiral. But Admiral Moore was a bit of a taskmaster, didn't like him so much. But that was quite fun. And they had lunch on board in our quarters every month. They had a meeting every month, and I had to have them on board.
Who came on board?
All these, all the committee.
Oh, right, yes.
Oh, that was a game.
That was like the kind of governors sort of thing, was it? Yes.
Governor's meeting.
Mm. I mean, did you have an official role?
No.
So you were his consort, but
yeah,
I bet you had a lot to do though, really.
Nothing, no.
You didn't?
No.
So
Thank goodness not.
So did you make a life for yourself out off the...
Yes, we made lots of friends.
Yes.
And, we had no car for years.
Mm.
And then we had a little Mini, that was nice, but I never drove.
Mm.
And I couldn't cycle because it was a steep hill out of the village.
Oh, so you couldn't really... I suppose use the
cycle.
bus.
It was awful.
Oh, yes, because you love cycling.
Well, I mean, you know, to get somewhere, always in the bus.
So you always took the bus?
Yeah.
But
And
you
then-
enjoyed that time?
Yes, it was nice, it was lovely, yeah.
And then you didn't know where to go, and Malcolm found this advert.
And then he,
Did he
and Peter was going to Cambridge, and he said, of course it sounds about a house to be let in Cockeshall, in Essex. So I said, Essex? The way beyond. Nobody wants to live in Essex. In Kent, we thought like that. And he said, don't be silly. He said, I'm going to ring up.
He had a hunch, didn't he?
Yeah,
that
and
it was...
the good lady who owned it lived in the centre house. She was a spinster.
And the house was for sale, was it, or for...
No. She's
For renting.
it. She bought this. The whole house is owned by the
Isinglass.
moral welfare section. Yeah, first the Isinglass people, and they died out. 2 old boys lived here, and the enormous mansion. It went from the fleece to everything belonged to it, even the vineyard. It was endless, and all the cottages, and the 3 cottages next to you. They're copies of this house. It's all amazing.
So they all belong to that
all
factory?
belong to the Isinglass.
That's true.
And these cottages were very old, and they, made them more Victorian, you know, you could, the ones on the other side. Yeah, they lived here in great state, and, you know, carriages and horses. Amazing it must have been. I got a lovely photo of the house.
This is a very elegant house.
As it was. This was the kitchen.
Was it?
Yeah. And my front room was a scullery, I think. This was what it was like, the deck.
Oh, isn't it elegant?
Beautiful,
So it was just as one house then. It hadn't been divided up. It's lovely.
Yeah.
Is that a pond or a lake?
Yes, and that's now all over gone.
Yes, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
A great big greenhouse.
Yeah, and my
That's lovely.
that is
Another
our part
greenhouse
here,
there.
and that was
Or a conservatory.
that was huge conservatory.
Is that a factory chimney there?
I can't see it, but it's my
Goodness.
Yeah, the front, this is the front, of course, and that's the back.
Good.
Amazing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Fascinating.
Yes. So much greenery. It's just completely
But
covered.
this is just, and Rosie made, that looks a bit silly, made a little vegetable garden.
Yeah.
And this, of course, is the stabling, and
Yeah.
that's where the thingies live. call them?
Oh,
The Turners.
Turners, who I've never met. I wish I
You
could.
never see anybody.
No, never met.
And now her mother lives there.
Mm.
And I said to the mother, come and have a cup of coffee one day. I mean,
Yes. Anyway, don't.
no, in any case, that's all right.
No.
No trouble at all, it's fine.
No. Did you both come over and see this house then?
No, so, oh yes, and then she said you better come and see it, you see. And so we went over the ferry and then drove through Essex.
What, the Tilbury ferry?
Yeah, and we took the nice route. What's the country route, you know? Stock.
Yeah,
Stock.
Stock.
Yeah,
Yes, I
lovely.
know. Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the house was looking absolutely dreadful at that stage. Her Daly's old leaking car was in the yard, and there was nothing there, and it was a vegetable garden, and it looked absolutely. So when we arrived, I said to Malcolm, "Oh gosh, it looks dreadful." He got red under the collar and said, "All right, we go straight back home." I said, "Oh, I'd better have a look." So we went to Rosie's house, and it was pink Whitson, and she opened her front door, and her house was lovely, huge hall, and she had such good taste.
This was next door?
Yeah,
Or? Yes.
the owner of the house.
Mm.
And
And you liked her?
and she had her friends there. He was her solicitor to meet us, and we had a drink in her house, and the garden was so gorgeous from her. I said, "Oh, it's really lovely," and we had such fun. And I said, "Well, it's about time you see the house next door." And so we went in, and we liked it, but it wasn't looking very nice. And then it was also big. So I said to Malcolm, we could have a lodger, you know, could let her home here. It's far too big.
How many rooms have you
And
got?
well, I'll show you. And he said, "Shh, if she hears that, she won't let us have the house." I said, "Don't be silly." And I think she did hear it, because she said, "I always used to let my ground floor in London, so of course you can do what you like if you rent it.
Yeah.
5 guineas a week, I think." He pays. And so we said, "Well, we'll think about it," and she said, "I'll think about it."
Did you have a look round the village then to see if you liked Coversham?
No,
You didn't?
no.
No.
We went through Bridge Street. There was a lovely antique dealer, and I said, "Let's have a look." And we saw this mirror. It was either 9 or 12 pounds. I said, "Oh, if we had the house, this would look ideal there."
So you were already thinking you
Yeah.
liked the house.
And
yes.
he said, "Oh well, you know, 12 pounds." And any case, then I said we were stupid, and we decided to have the house, and she was happy.
Good.
And I said to her about the mirror. She said, "I'll buy it for you." But I had to pay
Oh,
back. But she said, "I'll go and buy
That's
it."
nice.
So, and then, yes, we came around August, I think, July, yeah.
That was in about 1968?
And Petra was still 18, but she had
Mm.
her 19th birthday, yeah, here.
Did Petra like it when she first saw
Yes,
it?
and she went to Homerton. And it was lovely for her.
She went to Homerton Teaching College.
Yeah, we used to go and pick her up there. She used to come home the weekend.
Yes, yes. So that was
Quite
handy.
soon met Richard. Which
Yes.
found, yeah.
So Richard was living
Yes,
at
she
the
knew
Abbey.
Richard already when she was at Homerton.
Was Richard living at the Abbey then?
He was doing accountancy, studying at Tousroche.
But his parents were living
Yeah,
at
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
Abbey Mill.
yeah,
Yes.
yes. Yes.
And
Yeah.
so what did Malcolm think of Coversham? Did you both
Loved it.
you both enjoyed it?
Loved
yes.
it, yes. I made him buy it. We went to an auction in Hampstead, and there was an old bicycle, a lovely rally.
Mm.
And I said, "You better buy that."
Mm.
And we had a car, and he cycled a lot.
Yes.
And he became, of course, on the committee of the Coversham Society. And, oh yes, he used to run the old people's lunch.
Oh.
And what else did he do? But he loved it. Yes, he loved it.
Yes.
Yeah, very happy. And gardened.
So it must have been lovely for you to have
Yeah.
a garden, and because you didn't have.
I had a garden.
Did you have a garden at the shed?
Yes.
Oh.
And a little
Yes.
hidden garden, quite
Yes.
sweet. and Peter had a swing there.
Yes.
And yes, that was lovely. We had a gardener, not for my little garden, but he had quite a lot of, and I used to plant it for sure.
Yes.
Actually, the staff I found more difficult than the boys.
Yes.
You know, you can imagine
Yes.
the wives of the staff.
But it must have felt very quiet suddenly coming here and not having the staff,
Yes,
and the boys,
yes,
and the,
yes.
and the sort of aggro, but the kind of
Yeah,
fizz
but
of
then,
it.
you know, we were together, so.
Yes.
Yeah, and you know, we used to love to go out in the car and have a little sunset, for instance, and then the bypass wasn't there yet.
No.
You cycled out.
Right. Much easier to cycle.
Yes,
Cycle
it
out
was
to the village.
lovely.
Yes.
And we made friends. No, it was lovely.
And you've
We
made
talked
lots
people.
and lots of friends.
Yes.
And so, what do you feel? And so, when did Malcolm die, Adriana?
I never think about it. It's ages ago.
I mean, you had quite a long time here together.
Yes, dreadful. No, together. Almost 20 years.
So you had 20 years.
He was
living here
73,
together.
I think, when he
Yes.
died. Yeah, and he came when he was 65. It's funny, I tried to
So
forget
you
about
didn't have very long. You only had
Well,
about
No,
65 to 70,
65 is...
to 73. That's only.
No, he was 76, I think.
Oh right. So you had 11.
Awful.
You had 11.
Yeah.
years.
He
Yes.
loved it.
Yes.
And he was fit as a flea.
Yes.
Absolutely never ill for a day, and suddenly he died.
Suddenly he died.
Wonderful way to die, but I
Oh.
mean,
Awful shock for you.
dreadful.
Awful.
Yes, dreadful.
But by then you had a lot of friends in the village.
Yes, but and then of course so lucky to have Peter and Mary at Cocksham.
Yes, wonderful.
Because Peter was married and had Anthony.
Already had Anthony.
Oh
then.
yeah, and a little Lou. Yeah.
Yes, so you already
And he lived in
grandparents.
But he never knew. Oh yes, and Malcolm was quite involved in Paycocks. We became friends of the Australian widow who lives in Paycocks, Betty
yes.
McAuliffe, and she would never receive the guests herself. You know, she was, and she had people do it for her. And then Malcolm said one day, I'd love to do this for you on Sunday afternoon. And he got to know a great deal about the house.
Yes.
And was very interested. And he
So
loved
he
it.
began to tell people
Yes.
about it. Oh, lovely.
He loved
Yes.
it. So
Was
he
it
became
National Trust already then? Yes.
became very involved in it.
Mm.
And then her successor, she did it for. She's a solicitor in. We live in. Stuits, is it? Green of Stuits. Double-barreled name. In any case, they lived here, and he did it for them.
Well, the Compton Dandos?
No,
No.
that was much later. I can't think of their name.
No. But then Peter and Richard went there, didn't they?
No, and then and then we had two grandchildren, and I remember Malcolm saying when Laura was a little girlie walking, he said, "Of course, I didn't think I'd ever have such a lovely little granddaughter."
Oh.
He so enjoyed them.
And he probably had more time then for her
Yes,
than
all
he
the time
had
in the
for his
world.
own daughter.
Yeah, we did a lot
Mm.
for them.
Mm.
And then they still lived in Fearing when Malcolm died.
So they all remember him, do they? Your
No,
grandchildren? No, they're too.
Anthony
they were too
maybe
little.
just vaguely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
I used to go and see my neighbour, but she loved it when I used to come and see her. She was a bit of a,
What the lady who lived
nightmare
there?
to her, because she thought she didn't only own the house, she owned me as well. And she was fond of me, but
Yes.
she could be a menace.
Yes.
And I went to see her with Anthony one day with his red hair, and he sat in her low, lovely sitting room with the low window seats. And I said, "Oh, doesn't he look so lovely with his red hair against the garden and the greenery?" "I'm afraid I don't like that colour hair," she said.
Oh no.
I said, "All right, I'll never bring him again."
Oh.
"Oh, Adriane, I didn't know you were so petty."
Oh, that's
Oh God, it
terrible.
was funny. But she was a menace, really. And
Did you buy the house
no,
from her?
I thought you knew. No, and then
Because you were renting the house when
yeah, we were renting the house.
Yes.
The rent never went up, and she became very
So
fond
that
of
was a
us.
good deal, really, in part.
Well, and thank goodness, and then Malcolm died. Of course, then altogether she thought, you know, she had me as her best friend.
Victim, or yes.
In any case, then she went a bit senile, and she was under to a home, which was fantastic. Peace.
So you
And her
felt
daily woman was also so relieved. She had a very charming help who lived in a council house opposite. There's 4 children, and Muriel was so fond of this.
yes.
What is her name? I can't think of her name at the moment. Doesn't matter. But she could hardly take it anymore. Every day she used to go every morning, and but then she went into the home, so that was a relief. And then she died. And in her will, she said I could stay in this house for the rest of my natural, rent-free.
Oh, Adriane, that's wonderful.
Unbelievable.
Oh, that's so kind.
Yes.
What a lovely
And I put
story.
a lovely little note from her once for
Oh.
Easter. She gave me some flowers, and on it she says, "You've been the most wonderful neighbor and friend," and you know, and I kept the note.
That
It
is
was
so lovely. So you must have been very
And
kind to
she
her.
left her beautiful house to her daily lady. But,
Wow.
and she thought Dorothy was going to live here, you see.
Yes.
She's very fond of Dorothy.
Yes.
And Dorothy and
Dorothy.
John couldn't think of anything worse.
They
than
sold it.
They hated, you know, they don't like a house like that.
No. So they lived
They
opposite.
sold it, and she sold it far too quickly and didn't get enough money
Oh.
for it, really.
What a shame.
So there I was, for the rest of my
Oh,
natural.
that's
And I
wonderful.
thought it's a bit strange. And
So who owns the house now?
no, so I said to Richard, well, he said, well, talk to the solicitor.
Because
And the
it's
solicitor, I said to the solicitor,
a strange
she had an old
story.
solicitor, yes, and I said, rather strange, you know, with me in the house for the rest of my
But it
natural.
must have been
He
left.
said, could be jolly awkward for you, Mrs. Lemaire. So
The
I
solicitor-
rang Richard, I said, the solicitor was blooming rude to me, a horrible man. And so Richard probably thought, oh, mother-in-law fussing again. He said, leave it to me, I'll talk to him. And he talked to him, and he said I was right. And I think the solicitor wanted to buy it himself. You know, something. He was absolutely
But actually
Then
somebody.
so Richard and Peter bought it.
Oh.
And it was worse, very little.
What,
With me
from
in it.
the estate? Or, I mean,
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
I mean, she must have had heirs apart from
yes,
Dorothy.
yes.
So
Yes, I
they bought it. So it belongs to your.
Yeah, and of course with me in it, I was only,
Yeah.
how old was I?
Don't know. But 70? I don't know.
No, 60.
Of course, it was a long time ago. 60.
Long
yes,
time ago.
Sorry, yes.
And so it was worth very little. Well, houses weren't worth
No,
much then.
that's
And
right.
they got it for a third of the value, and it was really
Yes.
given away. But of course, it's a lot of upkeep, and it badly
But
needs
it was
doing.
a very strange legal
Yeah,
thing
what
to
a
put in a
strange
will
thing.
anyway.
I know.
mean, because the people who owned the house
Yeah.
might not have wanted, they wouldn't have looked after the house, would they, if you
But
weren't
why
paying
didn't
them?
she leave it to me?
Very strange.
Yes. Was something funny. I think that
Yes.
solicitor
The solicitor was,
wanted it.
well, oh, I see.
Yeah,
And that
Yeah.
was her solicitor, was it?
yeah. He was a horrible man.
Very strange.
Yes, strange things happen,
Yes.
isn't it?
Oh, what a very
Yeah.
strange story.
Fascinating.
So it's Peter and Richard's house.
Yeah.
Yes. And it's so
But you see,
lovely.
they have so much upkeep in their own
They
business.
do. They do.
I don't, you know, it really is in bad need of
Of money spending on it.
quite a bit of money.
Yes.
I'm going to have a new door in the kitchen.
Yes.
But yes,
so going back to sort of Coggeshall,
funny, isn't it?
it's so. How do you feel that Coggeshall has changed since you've been here? I mean,
yes. I liked it better because the traffic was so much better, and
although
they've all council houses opposite.
But it must have been very busy when this was.
Oh, towards later on, but
bypass.
in the beginning it wasn't so busy. But I love it. We couldn't believe ended up here. Such a beautiful place.
Yes, it is.
And when we had the car still, it was lovely. And we made nice friends.
But actually,
and it was nicer when they were council houses.
Yes.
That was
because they
very sad.
Were they friendlier or
such nice people.
Yes.
You see, Doris, who inherited that, was council house. All charming people.
Yes.
And then they had trees all along
did
the road.
they?
And they went in one storm. We had a terrible storm, didn't we? In I don't know when.
In '87.
Yeah, they went.
What sort of trees were they?
What do you call them? Birches.
Birches.
Yeah.
Oh, because there still are some.
Yeah, there's still two left.
Oh, what a pity.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you see, the people opposite me are still council houses, and they're such nice people.
Yes.
They're real friends. But I don't know the people. It was a bad thing, I think, to sell council houses.
I think it was a terrible thing. My husband Charles was a solicitor in Witham, and he
was against it.
He was terribly against it. He had so many clients who were being repossessed and evicted because they'd bought their council houses and couldn't pay the mortgage.
Yeah.
And they didn't realise they had to pay the mortgage and do the roof as well. They couldn't afford it.
Well, it was very, very stupid thing
Very
to do.
stupid thing to do.
But...
Oh, well, I must say you've had such an interesting story, haven't you?
I love Coggeshall, don't you?
But yes, I do.
It's getting a bit big. The market was fun this morning.
Was it?
Yes.
Yes.
It's getting a Dutch cheese, man. Have you seen it?
Good. No.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, that's
fantastic.
Nice. I must go next week.
So I talk Dutch all the time.
Yes.
And Peter and Laura were with me there.
Because I was thinking the market is sort of not.
No, it's
so
suddenly,
good.
and there's a lovely flower stall.
Oh, good.
The end.
Because I went a couple of times, 2 or 3 times. Thought this market really isn't very good.
So did
anymore.
I used to. But now, in the nice weather, people come out, all young mothers with children. Yes. But the cheese, man, is fantastic.
Oh, that's very nice. Because you could do with a good cheese shop.
Fishman
is marvellous, yes.
And the vegetables are improving.
They're okay, the vegetables.
Thank goodness, the horrible row where the co-op is. Was already there. I didn't see the lovely old cottages. That would have broken my heart because there was a lovely row of old houses.
It's the most awful building that opposite
and they
the
had
White
little
House.
front gardens. And
we were just driving past last night, and we were saying, "What a lovely village!" Except for that awful building, and they don't look after it either.
No, well, it's going to be all done up.
Yes.
But thank God I never saw it. That would have broken my heart.
I'm surprised the planners allowed that, really.
Extraordinary. Oh, yes, and then a few years ago, the district council was going to make it nice again, and and spend money on it.
What, refurbish it?
Look at a bit, is it? So. And they couldn't afford it, so it didn't happen.
No.
It will be better when the co-op eventually.
Yes, I suppose so.
But
no, it's very, very bad.
Yes. It is a fantastic place.
It's I feel it's a pity that we don't have a riverside walk.
Awful.
And I feel it's a pity we haven't got something like the Earlscombe Millennium Green or a nature reserve or something. I mean, I think I think it could be better. I think things could be better.
I can't bear King's Acres. That new houses. They're all now pine trees, what do you call it? Palms. Oh, I ran this morning to the doctor through it, and I want to yell at him and say, for God's sake, people. It looks horrible, doesn't
yes,
it?
it does.
God, it could have been so nice. But these people, all these palm trees they put in their gardens. Oh, God.
Yes.
I went, what's her name, Julia, I don't know whether you've ever met her. She's a friend of Dinah Thompson. And she lives in one of these small houses behind the wall on the Earl's Colne Road. They're quite charming. There's a different world.
Yeah, sort of on the left, opposite the Alexander. You mean there? No.
No, on the same side.
Same side as the Alexander.
Peter's friend Helen, Nick Watson lives there. Helen Beck.
Oh yes.
You know
I know the cottages you mean. Yes.
Yeah. And when you go behind it, it's a different world suddenly.
It? Yes.
Didn't know it was there.
There are lots of little hidden places in Goldshall, aren't there?
No, that was all nice.
Yeah.
We had this wonderful nursery. Things were sixpence and a shilling, I think, everything. And people were queuing up on a Saturday morning.
Oh, wonderful.
It was fantastic.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Good.
His daughter now has that nursery between Earl's Colne and Chapel. Do you know?
Yes.
There's a nursery.
You mean Bowley Road?
Yeah.
Yes.
And
Colne Valley Nursery.
Yeah, that's
yeah.
the
It's
daughter
very
of the
good.
man who had the nursery here.
Oh, really? It's
Yeah.
very, very good nursery.
That was lovely.
Yes,
yeah,
I
it's a
often
good
go there.
nursery. Yes,
Oh. Well, it's been a wonderful story to hear, Adriana.
Funny,
It's
isn't
really
it?
very interesting story.
It's
Really
funny.
fascinating. I spoke a few weeks ago to Trudy and Philip Moles, because Trudy came from Switzerland.
She was the first teacher of
She's
Anthony went to
lovely.
the village school.
Really?
And Julie was his teacher.
She's
was
lovely. Isn't she lovely?
She was Swiss. She came here as an
Yes.
au pair.
Yes.
And
She worked
stayed.
at the Bernardo's home, at an orphanage. Yes.
Oh, she was a lovely teacher.
Yes, she's wonderful.
Yeah.
They're a wonderful couple, and
Yeah.
he told me all about the farm and that
Yeah.
he grew up on.
Because the funny, they sold it and got a lot of money, of course, isn't it? And his brother built a house where Elizabeth Bevan lives now. That's. The Moles had a farm on the way to Colchester and a lot of land.
Yes.
So they
right.
sold that and it became.
Oh, because the farm he grew up in, he didn't own. His father
in any
was
case,
the
there
foreman.
was because the brother built this very expensive house in what is it? What is the lane? Between East Street and Church Street. Swan Lane. That's where Elizabeth Bevan lives now.
Oh, right.
And that was built by a mole, by the brother-in-law.
Right.
Actually.
Yeah.
They say it's a fantastic house. Yes, fun.
Good. Oh, well, thanks very much.
And then he had this dear old widow, Rosemary Tausch. She was Irish, and she was more Irish than the Irish, and she lived in the house where the Glossops live now.
Oh, yes.
And she was so nice.
That's a lovely house.
Yeah, and the garden was so romantic.
Yes.
It was almost falling to bits, the
Yes.
house. And she had her drawing room full of the most beautiful Irish antiques. And a lot of them were left to the Georgian house in the museum in Ireland, you know.
Oh, right.
What is the rich, very important Irish family? I don't know, but in any case you would know. Yeah. Oh, she was so nice. And then, what's her name? Lady, the widow of the Governor General of Tasmania, Binny. She was a great character who lived at Scripps.
Oh, yes.
And Sheila Bird, who sold the house to Richard's father. She was so heartbroken, but she became a widow and she couldn't live there by herself.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So she sold Scripps?
No, the house, the mill.
Oh, she sold the mill?
Sheila Bird lived in.
Oh, right.
Yeah. lived in the mill, as a widow.
So
They became great friends, but she
Yes.
was very upset about
Oh.
leaving it. She hadn't lived there very long,
Mm.
unfortunately.
Because
before
Tony
that.
Bonner used to live there, didn't he?
Yeah, in where Penny lives, in the little cottage.
Mm.
He
Mm.
rented a little cottage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He said it was the happiest time of his life.
Did he?
Yeah.
Yes.
And they were just married.
Oh.
And he always used to joke. He said his wife used to swim in the river, and he once took a photo of her in her birthday suit.
And she planted that willow tree.
Yeah,
She-
unfortunately.
Yeah, it's a bit too big, isn't it now?
Horrible, yes. Not so fond of weeping willows.
Really?
They
Does,
like
do they want to take it down then?
Yeah, but it's major business.
Yes, and it might cause subsidence, I suppose, to
Yes.
take it down.
It's been cut down quite a bit.
Yes.
Yes, he was so proud of it.
Mm.
And Richard used to say, we can never cut it down while he's still alive.
No.
And then Richard had it cut down quite a bit, and it
Mm.
was the day he died.
Really?
It's very funny.
That is strange.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Yes.
so strange. There are
He was fun.
lots of strange, inexplicable things
Yes.
really happen. Well, Adriana, thank you very much. I think you've told us a wonderful story.
My father had never been to England, and it was August, and it was the driest August on God's earth. Everything was burnt, and we went to meet him, and father said, his English pronunciation was worse than mine. He said, "Is this green and present land?" He said, "It's all yellow." I'll never forget him saying. And mother came to stay with us in Chilham, and mother loved England, and she had read English.
Mm.
So it was wonderful for Malcolm that he could talk to his mother-in-law, and they got on like a house on fire.
Mm. Lovely.
Yeah, because otherwise it would have been a bit difficult. And, you know, she was First World War at university, and should have come to England, you know, sometime too. And of course you couldn't.
No.
So she spent some time as the English vicar in The Hague, with his family.
Yeah.
But then she married and had children,
Yes.
and nobody went to England.
No.
And in any case, they never travelled. And she'd never been to England.
Mm.
Her father had never been to England.
Amazing, and yet she knew all the English literature.
Yeah, and
Yes.
she loved England.
Well, she must have felt she knew it already from,
Yes.
from the literature.
Yeah,
Yes.
funny, isn't it?
It's
And
like
loved
Americans
the
do.
tea shops and
Ah.
antique shops. Every
Yeah.
antique shop, she said, my father used to get so cross. It's really antique shops. She would have liked to have lived in England sometime. But
Did they like the ship? Did they like staying on the
yes,
ship?
it was a bit awkward having her because she was a bit difficult.
Yeah.
And Mr. Staff, and we went to, I forgot to talk to all those people, you know.
Did the ship ever sail? Did it
No,
go out?
no.
It was. Well,
Once,
But it was sitting in the water, wasn't
well,
it?
it's 4 anchors, it's enormous anchors.
So did it
forward.
went up and down with the tide?
Yeah,
Mm.
but once we had a terrific storm, and Malcolm was in the bath, and he had a very full bath always,
Mm.
and he was almost thrown out of the bath.
Because of a wave, or
I think the water it was so high, the water, and there was so much wind that the anchors, it looked a bit as if
Yeah.
the ship was.
yeah.
We had once, then we had terrific, I've got a photo of it, ice on the river. And that
Oh,
was getting dangerous.
yes. Well, squeezing the hull.
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
and once every 4 years, we used to go into dry dock, at the naval dockyard.
Well, to have it kind of
Yes,
scrubbed or-
cleaned and
yes.
so on.
Yes.
And we went on dry dock the first time when, in August or July, and I was pregnant, Peter was born in September,
Mm.
and we had no water or electricity on board when we
Oh.
were in the dockyard. It was dreadful.
Well, so you went in with it to the doctor?
Yes, and the smell we used to
Oh.
have the officers' bathroom.
They ought to have rehoused you for that
Oh,
time.
they never did. They were so funny.
They never had any money to spare, I suppose.
And smell of the barnacles.
it's
and it was
awful.
horrible. And then some people who lived in a big house in the dockyard took pity on me.
That
and
must
said,
have been dangerous, actually. I mean, with that descaling paint and everything.
don't know.
Horrible.
Malcolm had to stay on board. It was lovely being towed by tugs into the dockyard.
Yes.
Oh yes, Malcolm was a bit silly because he never asked for anything.
Mm.
And when we arrived, there were the most horrible rugs and carpets, and there was nothing in the quarters really. We didn't have much furniture.
Mm.
And I made 24 little curtains for the portholes in the sitting cabin.
Oh.
And 12...
It says that in the newspaper.
Yeah, and 12... any case.
It's lucky it was so handy with the
He never
needles.
asked for anything.
No.
And of course, once you do that, you can treat it like that.
Yeah.
And then one day, when we went in dry dock, the governor said, you know, you must ask whether we could have a bigger porthole or two made in your sitting cabin. It's a bit dark.
Yes.
For Mrs. Lemaire.
Yes.
So he said, yes, I'll inquire. And he inquired, and the next committee meeting, when we were back, he said, well, he said, it cost £3,000. I couldn't possibly ask them few. So they said, oh, we've got a good one here. That was funny. But in the end, I made a glass on the poop.
On the roof.
Yeah, the poop
Going
deck
up
was mine.
to the deck.
Yeah.
So you got some light from
That-
above.
yes.
That must have made a
Yeah.
difference.
And I remember Pete was sitting on it, and you saw her little bottom and
Oh,
her feet.
sweet.
The poop deck was ours. That was our private deck.
Yes.
That was lovely.
Yeah.
But it was lovely. And then we were next to the dockyard. Fantastic
And this was
sailing.
at Chatham.
That was
Or no.
Rochester.
Rochester.
Sailing
Harbour.
club. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And we made great friends there. And Malcolm was an honorary member. And yeah,
And
they were our
did
neighbours.
Did quite a lot of those boys go on to the Navy after?
Oh yes, mainly in the
Mainly.
Navy and some merchant Navy.
So they left at 16 and then went on to
In the
Dartmouth.
Navy they went 15.
Did they go to Dartmouth?
Oh no, they
No.
went to the Ganges,
To the Ganges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm the what is it? Honorary president of the Old Boys Association.
Oh, are you?
Yes.
Oh, wonderful.
And
Yes, I saw the booklet, the log.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's
Logbook.
the logbook. Yes, big.
Do you have to go and make a speech there sometimes?
No, I can't make speeches. God,
I bet you,
I'll
you can.
die.
You're very good at making speeches.
Oh look, we had a christening on board.
Oh, did you?
Oh, that was a nice picture.
Who was that? Petra's christening.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
look.
Was it one of the old boys?
Oh,
or something?
sweet.
I don't know. Yeah, Peter was christened on board.
Was there a chaplain on board?
We had a little church ashore.
Yes.
And he was our chaplain.
Yes.
And he came, had service every Sunday. That was a charming man.
When was the ship built?
1911, by Bloem and Vos, in Hamburg.
And was it? So it was a German ship.
It was the Flying P line. They built several, partly at the
But
Passage.
was it purely sail, or did it have steam
yes,
as well?
no,
It was
sail.
purely sail.
And I've got a lovely film
Of her sailing.
well, to South America.
Oh, so she was a sort of commercial clipper, was she?
Yes, she was a clipper. Like, look here, she is.
Oh,
yeah.
She's wonderful.
And the famous
With a steel
American-
hull.
Yeah, famous American journalist sailed on board
Lovely.
her, and they had the most almighty storm. And
Oh.
we took this film. I
Square
thought this
rigging.
film is fantastic.
Did she go around the Cape? Cape Horn, the really...
Would she have gone
I don't
to
know.
South- No,
Where
no.
was she going?
to Valparaiso and Venezuela? And,
Yes, so
both-
she plied back and forth from Europe
Yes,
to
from-
South America.
Yeah. Until
Wonderful.
30... No, until 9... How long
It
did
looks
she
such
sail?
an old-fashioned ship to be
19...
built in the 20th century, doesn't it?
1912 she was.
But it looks so old-fashioned,
Yeah,
doesn't
there was a
it?
whole... They were
Amazing.
famous. There's still one, and that's in Prussian.
But it was still considered commercially viable.
Oh,
because
yes,
of course,
yes.
it didn't need expensive fuel, did it? I mean, that
No,
was the
no,
thing.
no.
Did it not have an engine at all?
No.
If it was in trouble? Or,
No.
Goodness.
Amazing,
So it took
isn't
some
it?
great
Flying
skill.
feline.
Great skill to
And we had
sail
a
it.
man on board.
So did they have to have sailors going up to
Yeah,
fix
my
the
goodness, and the
sails?
boys used to too.
Did
We
they-
had a visit of...
Didn't the boys want to go out sailing?
Yeah, some of them. We had a cutter, we had sailing cutters and all. We had a charming, oh look, this is a German
Oh.
merchant navy officer who
Yes.
used to be on board her when she sailed
Oh.
before the war.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was almost in tears when he was
Oh,
back.
was he
And
really?
we had him to lunch, and he said that's where I slept. That was the cabin
Oh.
of the
Yeah. The people, they must have got so fond of their ships in
Yes.
the days when they had sailing ships.
fascinating.
Yes, that's an amazing story. It really
Yes,
is.
so in his hand.
But it was rather nice that. So what's happened to the ship now?
Well, she's in America, in New York.
Is
It's
she
a
a
museum
museum?
ship? Not terribly well looked after.
No.
And she's so dwarfed.
Was she
Manhattan.
sold to the
Yeah,
to New York or?
yeah, and the Charterbury Homes wants to keep her here and put up for sale
Mm.
because they couldn't afford to keep her in
No.
order. And also, that type of education wasn't allowed anymore. The boys needed, more schooling.
Right.
And so they put her up for sale, and they tried Prince Philip, whether he was interested, and not himself, but
Yeah.
and he said, oh, if she had been an English ship, they would have never let her go.
Mm.
But nobody, no takers, and
No.
she was sold for £70,000 to this American
Is that all?
museum. It's
Did
in
they
the harbour.
say? Did they?
I've seen her several
Or
times.
she
on
sailed over, or how did they get her out? Or did they?
Dutch tug took her home.
Dutch tug.
Yeah. The Utrecht. And she almost
Sunk.
sank. Yeah, but they had a terrible storm. But the old boys have been to see her several times, and they tell me, oh look, this is the Battle of the Medway, the Dutch.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, look at that.
Ah,
Mm.
golly.
Yeah.
The Dutch won, did they?
Yeah. The only time when the Dutch soldiers, and they looked after the women and children of the British soldiers because they were so badly. Oh look, this is last prize day. This,
Oh, look.
what's his name? The great cricketer.
Cowdrey.
Yeah. Lovely photo.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Yes, a lovely photo.
Picture with lovely long brown hair.
Yes. I made all the dresses.
Did you really? You are clever.
But I can't do anything anymore. Well, yeah, he was so charming, Cowdrey. He was terribly nice.
That must have been quite sad leaving the ship.
It was horrible, yes. On a rainy day,
Oh.
we left, yeah.
And did he not get a pension from that?
Yeah, Malcolm had a pension.
He
Of course,
did.
he was a hopeless financially. He should have said, I get £10 a week pension for it. From the
No.
Shaftesbury Homes. Mine should have had a charity. Yes, he had a pension.
But you get a normal
Old age pension, yes.
too.
But I mean, my friends, and I don't tell people, but
No.
they must think I'm an awful old meanie.
Well, I suppose
But,
your Dutch friends have more generous.
well, no, and Malcolm belonged to this naval club, and they knew about my circumstances, and I used to get help from them, which was, made a great difference. And we always had a lodger. And then one day my mother died, and she left me some money.
Yeah.
So they stopped that.
Oh, how mean.
Yeah. Any case,
Oh.
but yeah, people think I have a naval pension, but Malcolm was, of course, he should never have given it up.
No.
And I didn't realize, but then when he came back in the Navy, again he could have been, for those years, he was back for years, from 39
Right.
to 46. But again he went on, because, and I never you know, we were very happy, though it didn't worry me, but yeah,
Well,
it was not a good financial.
I mean, you live quite simply now, and you.
Yes.
And it's,
Yes,
I mean, it's a good idea having a lodger, because that feels.
Oh yes, I'm going to have a half French chap this time.
Good, good.
Yeah.
So you
he's
also
going to teach
witnessed
men
at Hollywood.
An earnest young man, I think.
Oh.
26. He seemed quite charming.
Yes. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, the house is too big in any case. Do you want to see the house?
Yes, I'd love to.
Yeah, funny, isn't it? But I mean, that's financially haven't done very well. But
you've got all your.
Because we've been very lucky. And Peter.
That's the main thing, isn't it? It's lovely having your family and your seeing your grandchildren.
You know, sometimes people must think I've got a good naval pension.
I mean, most people live sort of so far from their families. You're very lucky.
Yes, good God. But my young sister's got a bit of Alzheimer's.
Oh, really? That's sad.
Yes.
Are you going over to see her then, shortly?
Well, I'm staying with my other sister. But,
yes.
She, it's not too bad, but she's very big-headed, and you know, you can't have the slightest argument with her.
No, so you have to kind of.
Oh, that's our lovely figurehead.
Yes.
They're collecting money. Oh, Peter has a baby on board.
Yes,
they're collecting money for the restoration of the figurehead
picture.
The old boy, who's the chairman of the Old Boys Association, is very well to do. He became a builder and
good.
He's fantastic. He's charming.
It's rather a shame that the house, the ship had to leave.
Yes, it's sad.
Yeah,
I think they're doing a bit better with her now.
Good.
Oh yes, here is the.
Well, it must be quite a nice attraction.
That was yes, but she's so dwarfed in Manhattan.
Well,
and the Americans are more interested in their own.
Well, quite.
Oh, look, that's me on Prize Day.
Yes, that's lovely.
Yeah, that's a nice photo.
Yes, it is.
But that was a very nice dress I made.
It was so.
They used to be dressed overall, you call that, and the boys used to put it up.
Did they
dangerous
really?
Things.
They wouldn't allow that. Now look, they're all sitting
No,
on the bowsprit.
I know.
On the, whatever they're crossbars.
Never a dull moment.
I mean, think of health and safety now. They wouldn't.
I know.
Allow that,
They wouldn't be allowed to do anything.
I went riding this morning, and they said, we can't canter. No. And you know, it's health and safety. They said, no, it's too hard on the ground. I said, it isn't hard on the ground. You know, it really isn't. It's been raining a lot. And in the end, she allowed me to have a little canter on my own, but she says, we can't let people canter, it's too dangerous.
Good God.
I mean, it just makes me so miserable.
Oh, it's ridiculous
this awful
nowadays.
Health and safety.
Yeah. He came on board once after, I don't know, we'd been out for lunch or
There's
something.
more, look. Do they all go back?
Yes, I'll do it in a minute. And he came on board in terrific excitement. Sir Nelson has fallen out of the mast. And the boy is called Nelson, and he's fallen out of...
No.
Yeah, on top of the kitchen, the galley. But there was a net.
Was he alright?
Well, he had to go to the hospital. But he was alright.
But I mean, so you didn't lose a boy all that time. That's wonderful.
Sometimes they ran away. Or
yeah.
Pregnant girls.
Oh dear. Oh dear.
One boy had been on leave. He was going to Merchant Haven. He was a bit older, and he came back from leave. And Malcolm was rung up by the mother because one of your boys got my daughter pregnant on leave. And so Malcolm called this boy up. He said, "You've been a naughty boy." "It's not fair, sir. It's not only me, and just picks on me because I'm her cousin." And that was the senior boys were allowed to go ashore on Sunday for a walk or to watch it or something. And a furious mother rang up and said, my daughter's pregnant by one of you boys. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And,
but they used to go on shore for sort of leave.
Well, only the senior boys, the petty officer boys,
yes.
you could trust them, and they used to photo.
Well, you obviously
watches.
couldn't always trust them.
No. So, oh God, what a pest! It's quite a young boy. And a few days later, she rang up, and it's all right. She isn't pregnant. Oh, it
What
was
a relief.
so funny.
What a
Yeah,
relief.
this is a gorgeous photo, isn't it?
Isn't it a lovely
Yeah.
photo? I think it's such a shame they discontinued that show.
Oh, of course, yes. No, you couldn't.